The first thing that I want to go into is that carjackings is up in Chicago. Carjackings seem to be up in Chicago. Let me bring you up to speed of what's happening in the city.
Now to a breaking story along Chicago's Mag Mile.
A woman's recovering after being attacked in broad daylight on Michigan Avenue. CBS 2's Sabrina Franza live for us on the Mag Mile with what we know so far. Sabrina.
Marie, this happened just about 24 hours ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A woman was standing here right along Michigan Avenue when someone threw something with enough force to hit her in the head and send her to the hospital in critical condition.
Yes, we have him in custody.
The person that did this is now in custody. This corner of Michigan Avenue at Michigan and Ontario is often busy during that time of day, especially as we approach the holiday shopping season. It's because of that in part that a Chicago police officer is almost always stationed outside the Burberry store here on Michigan. At 2:10 yesterday afternoon, the attack was so quick that the people working for the Salvation Army during this holiday season across the street told us they didn't even notice what had happened. A man threw an object, we believe either a stick or a brick, at that woman, hitting her in the head. She was taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital just around the corner, again in critical condition. We are still working to confirm more details about this developing story. Police say, again, that person is in custody, but no charges at this time. They say those charges are still pending. For now.
Now, here's the thing. The Miracle Mile, or the Mag Mile over in Chicago, is a tourist destination, meaning that this is the space where if you're coming from out of town and you're not necessarily trying to be on the south side, right? Or you able to dodge all of the migrants that's sleeping inside of the airport, or you just so happen to not end up in a tent city, right? This is the space in Chicago that is at the forefront of what tourism in Chicago is supposed to be. Now, 2 p.m. in the daylight, they made this chick the new brick lady. 2 p.m. in the daylight, they hit her with the brick, and they haven't even formally charged whomever it is. And you notice, have you noticed? I just want you to pay attention to something really quickly because we're going somewhere with this. Have you noticed that they never identify the subject anymore because it's not PC or socially acceptable for you to identify exactly what the assailant looks like? They just release the picture because describing is no longer socially accepted, or you're going to be labeled as biased or racist. Have you noticed that? You're now going to be attacked when you identify or showcase exactly who it was that threw the brick and knocked this chick out or knocked this person out on the street at 2 p.m. in the daytime. And it was so fast, according to the witnesses, that the people that was ringing the bell for the Salvation Army, they didn't even have time to know what was happening. They thought it was a prank, and that was something to TikTok, right? You can no longer, but we know, you can no longer identify who the assailant is because it's going to feed into our cultural norms that we don't want to accept as true. But on the flip side of that, on the other side of town, while somebody was throwing a brick at somebody, or they was planning to at least, it was something else that was going on the north side of Chicago.
Tanya and Terrell, apparently they are boxing people in. Detectives are working to track down the suspects. In one case, a woman was beaten and robbed. The first incident happened just after 11 o'clock last night in the 4400 block of North Lincoln Avenue. Police say a black and silver sedan approached a man who was driving his car and then boxed him in. 4 to 6 people exited with handguns and forced the man out of his car. 2 of the gunmen then got into the victim's car and took off. The victim wasn't hurt. Then, about 20 minutes later, at around 11:30, another similar incident unfolded in the 900 block of West Grace in the Lakeview neighborhood. Police say a 29-year-old man was driving when he got boxed in by 2 cars. Several people confronted him at gunpoint, then took his vehicle. The victim was not hurt. And in the third incident, It took place about 8 minutes later in the 3500 block of North Clark Street near Wrigley Field. Police say a 25-year-old woman was parking her car when she was boxed in by two cars. She was forced to get out by multiple people with guns who took her vehicle. Police say a female passenger was beaten and robbed, but she is expected to be okay. Now back here live, Area 3 detectives are investigating. Meanwhile, police have not said yet if all three incidents are linked.
Now, let's stop here for a moment and let's revisit the conversation. Do you remember, some of you may have been here, some may not, but do you remember when people, because I make my show available for people to be able to come up and express their thoughts on Fridays, do you remember when people come up on the platform and they say, Anton, it's not that bad on the north side. It's not that bad on the north side of Chicago, or the south side ain't that bad, or, oh man, that's just in that one particular area where they beat up that man in the alley for his pizza and knocked him out, or, oh man, that was just that one part of the city where they killed that police officer and everybody got away with it and don't nobody know what's going on, or it was just over there on the Mag Mile that they just decided to hit somebody in the head with a brick on that particular time. Now, listen, it's not even walking down the street. It's not where you live. It's happening all over the city. They are not wasting time. They are pulling up, boxing you in, boxing your face in, beating your girl up. Have you noticed that a lot of these instances are happening also with women? Ladies, please tell me how protected you are. Please tell me that it's safe for you to be out here on your own. Please tell me how independent you are, that Beyonce made you sing even though she's married and she in the house when she's not on tour. Please help me to understand and break down for me how this makes sense for you and how this is going to benefit you. You gonna protest? You gonna go to your alderman? Huh? Wait a minute, you gonna go and talk to Brandon Johnson? He preoccupied. He trying to solve for where the pastors is gonna be as far as making sure that they're sheltering all of the migrants that's coming into the city. They boxing you in. They boxing your face, and then they taking your box truck and they running it up. That's a fact. This is all within a 24-hour time span that the news is on the scene to be able to report for it. Let's continue to see what's happening. We're going to have it broken down from another person's perspective.
Investigating 3 armed carjackings on the city's north side. CBS 2's Mugo Odigwe joins us live from the newsroom right now, piecing together what we know right now. So, I mean, I guess the major question is any connection here.
Well, right now, police are not connecting the carjackings, but they all have the same pattern, that several suspects in 2 separate cars boxing in their victims' vehicles. Now, you're looking at video showing the aftermath of the first carjacking. It happened just after 11 last night near Lincoln and Montrose. According to police, 4 to 6 suspects in 2 separate cars boxed in the victim's vehicle. Then they got out armed with handguns, forced the victim out of his car, and drove off in that car. 2 other carjackings happened within a half hour. In one of them, police say a passenger was hit and her belongings stolen. Again, police are not yet connecting these carjackings, but as you heard from the details, they're all very similar. And right now, no arrests.
Now, here's my question for you guys, right? Here's my question for you guys. When does it end? Isn't Chicago, now correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm always open to be corrected. Isn't Chicago one of the cities with the strictest, and when I say strictest, I mean strict. Isn't Chicago the city that has one of the strictest gun laws, or some of the strictest gun laws, to prevent citizens from being able to arm and protect themselves legally against the very ones that's boxing you in, that's running up on you with the pistols that ain't supposed to have it anyway? Isn't Chicago one of the cities that legally make it difficult for the citizens to be able to protect themselves against the very ones that's running up on you with that hot lead? Wait a minute, we supposed to wait for the police that you are underfunding. We are supposed to wait for the citizens to participate in arrests. You gonna self-police because I know that we down with defunding the police, correct? No? You said the state of Illinois is generally very strict Interesting. Didn't they pass the Safety Act a little bit earlier, a couple months ago, where it's basically advocating against bail or advocating for you to be able to get out without having to post bail with just a slap on the wrist and a promise to be able to reappear in court? Didn't they do that for the criminals, but they not doing anything to protect the citizens? Huh. So you telling me that Chicago, the mayor, the alderman, and the governor is all in cahoots with each other to continue to turn Chicago over into what's happening in parts of California? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Somebody in the chat said it's a camera on every block. What, you thought that was stopping them? You thought that they was gonna make it? You thought that they was gonna be chilling since they seen cameras, that they not gonna be over here running up in the place and making it difficult for the citizens in the city? Or you thought it was cool, huh? Look, man, you know who the criminals are. They're your sisters. They're your brothers. Y'all know who they are. They're your sons. They're your uncles. At what point will you get tired of what you see happening within your own community? Because it's getting worse every day. It's getting worse every single day. I thank God for the progress that I have within my city. I ride around. I don't have no problems. I ain't got no trouble. I roll in what I roll in. Now, I am very situationally aware. Don't think that you're just going to be doing whatever it is that you're going to be doing when you're doing it. I do have security depending on where I'm going to be at that particular time of the day. But let's be clear, man. It's crazy out in a lot of these cities. And they're protecting the criminals, and they're not even criminalizing them anymore. And now it's the citizens that got to be fearful of not only their life, but the bureaucratic process to come along with prosecuting the people that rob you. That's crazy. You already in a reactive state. You already can't drive your car down the street. Chicks is getting hit in the head in the middle of the day on a Magnificent Mile. Chicago has over 30% vacancy rate on the Miracle Mile itself, the premier shopping destination in the entire state. And they have a 30+% vacancy rate. And even the Grand Lux said that they getting up out of there. Even the Grand Lux said that they getting up out of there. It's insane, man. It is absolutely disrespectful, and it's insane.